Turn that damn juice on!
Powered by Arkansas, for Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Live.
And welcome into Inside Arkansas Live here on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas. I'm your host, John Neighbors, alongside Andrew Ellis, and appreciate each and every one of you for making us a part of your afternoon this afternoon, as we're going to have a little fun with Remember Wednesday today, because Arkansas and Ole Miss are playing each other, and last time I checked, they have a lot of Remember When type of games that we're going to look at and relive and recap and have some fun with that, but we'll also get into some more conversations about the matchup of Arkansas and Ole Miss. We'll do some baseball discussion, too, now that that schedule came out. I know Andrew did a bombastic on it, but we'll get some reactions to what you all think on that as well. And, of course, our heavy hitters presented by HD Rivet Construction. We'll do all things in the chats and going to have a lot of fun here on the show. But, Andrew, it's hump day. It's Wednesday. How are the vibes today?
I'm in a fairly good mood, but I got to say, I've now reached the point of the week where I'm just like, give me to the weekend. I'm done talking. I'm done wasting time. Let's just get to Saturday. Let's play some football. Let's get into the action. But we got a few more days left, and we got the baseball schedule yesterday, which was cool. I'm missing Curtis. I'm looking for some football, but I'm still in a good mood. I'm still in good spirits. Yeah,
it's good. It's good to hear that, we get little small updates from Curtis here and there. So always good to hear from him. And I'm not going to say anything specifically, but I do know that I can say with confidence that I believe on at least something of our content on Inside Arkansas here, you will see Curtis later this week. I will say that. I don't know exactly what it's going to be because, again, we're on Curtis's time to make sure that he can manage it. We're not forcing him back. We're not making him feel obligated, but we know Curtis and how much he hates being away. So it's just I think that there's a really high level, like maybe a 95% chance we see Curtis as part of some sort of content that we have with Inside Arkansas here this week.
We when we first started this whole thing, we kind of talked about this of like, sometimes it'll be me and John, sometimes it'll be me and Curtis, sometimes it'll be Curtis and John. And I think that the fans or like the viewers have learned to appreciate that of like, oh, hey, it's a John and Andrew day, or oh, it's a John and Curtis day. I feel like with Curtis now kind of having his daddy situation, now it's going to make that people are going to appreciate that even more, getting a Curtis sighting and seeing what things he's a part of. And I think it's going to make his return even more emphatic, especially if things go according to somewhat plan this weekend.
Yes, which I'm sure it totally will. And there will be nothing that will go not according to plan at all whatsoever in any case at all. But kind of like the Arkansas Ole Miss game, right? It always goes according to plan. It always goes the way people think. And I know that we talked a lot about the matchup itself, and got to hear from a couple of the players last night, and dealing with the game and all of that. And we're gonna have some more conversations as we get closer, especially with the Inside Arkansas pregame show on predictions and all of that stuff, man. But it is kind of crazy. I was talking with an Ole Miss, a guy who covers Ole Miss yesterday, just kind of looking at the game and previewing it and everything. And it's so funny how they over at Ole Miss view this game against Arkansas historically and also going into this weekend the same exact way as Arkansas fans do. Now, the reason I bring that up, Andrew, is because if you look at all the teams in the SEC that Arkansas plays consistently, I mean, obviously, maybe not Vanderbilt or Kentucky, but football-wise, the Old West and maybe some of these permanent opponents, you can make an argument that every team that Arkansas faces consistently does not look at the Arkansas game the same way as Arkansas fans look at that game. What I mean by that, for instance, LSU. LSU fans do not look at that Arkansas game similarly to what Arkansas fans do. Arkansas fans look at it as like, hey, it's the boot, it's a rival. We have some luck against them. And then LSU fans look at that as like, we don't care about it as much. And it's annoying that y'all win. Or even the Missouri game. That doesn't get looked at the same way from both sides because Arkansas's lost a lot of it. And it seems like they care more about it, whatever. Arkansas Ole Miss is one of the few consistencies where both sides have no idea what's going to happen, have no idea what's going to take place. That there's been so many moments of weird games, big games, bad games for both sides. And it doesn't look like it's going to be any different this weekend. And that's what's just so fun about this particular matchup, and why I feel like and hope that it's one of those permanent opponents that Arkansas plays every year, is because of the absolute madness and chaos that this game provides each and every time.
Well, I'm interested to see your take on this after you're in Oxford and after you've kind of gotten a feel for the vibe, the lay of the land. I get the sense with Arkansas that a lot of times when teams are playing Arkansas, and honestly, it's mostly football, but sometimes it's other sports. It's not that they're like, we think this is an easy win. It's like they really don't even consider the possibility of losing. it really doesn't register. They're not going into a game. And where Arkansas fans, I know there's some overconfident Razorback fans, but we go into every game and we're like, this is what's going to happen if we win. This is what's going to happen if we lose. And we're very prepared for both outcomes. I get the sense that Ole Miss fans, and maybe this is inaccurate, maybe you could speak to this more, that it's not even like they're really like, oh, this is a crazy game, it's going to be back and forth. They're just like kind of wondering, will we compete with the top teams? They're not even considering that they could lose this game Saturday. And I get that sense a lot. I mean, we definitely got that sense when we went to Lexington last year. Like, there was not a Kentucky fan who considered whether they were going to lose that game. And so I think that's what makes it more satisfying as a Razorback fan, is you get to watch fans go through this crisis of like realizing, oh, wow, it is possible to lose to Arkansas.
Yeah. And it's nice to have that, because, it's still so early in the year where, like we talked about yesterday, Ole Miss has circled this game as a win. Before the season, they're circling the game and now. And I think, at least just from talking and seeing some of the Ole Miss fans, even the ones that believe that this game is always crazy, they're looking at it as like, yeah, it's going to be crazy, but it's just a matter, does Ole Miss win by 4 scores, or do they win by a field goal in overtime? It's going to equate to a win. But I also don't blame them for feeling that way, because they feel that with the job that Lane Kiffin has done since being there, and also the team that they have this season, they feel a little bit better about it, because they're looking at Arkansas saying, you guys haven't even been tested yet. Like, who have you beaten? Yeah, great. You scored some points, but we at least went on the road to an SEC team. Granted, I don't think Kentucky's very good, but hey, you won on the road in the SEC. We know how important that is. So I think that they're approaching it that way too. And, I'm with you on the going to Oxford, because I'll tell you, I've dealt with Ole Miss fans in the major sports. Obviously, baseball was always pretty fascinating because of their fan base. And I will say in Omaha in 2022, I guess, which I hate that they won it, but still they were fairly nice in person when I dealt with them. And then in basketball, I don't even know if they care. But in football, listen, they got Will Pep in their step. They got Lane Kiffin. They get talked about a lot. They had a 10-win season last year. In fact, I think they've had, 3 10-win seasons with a bowl victory, or if you want to include that, since the arrival of Lane Kiffin. So, yeah, if I'm walking tall, because reverse the roles, Ellis. If Arkansas was in a situation where they had Lane Kiffin and they had success previous years, and this game was coming up against Ole Miss, don't you think Razorback fans would feel the same way? Like, oh, yeah, we're going to win this game. I mean, it's the same concept.
The best spot to be in as a sports fan, you can never go into any game and, know for a fact that your team's going to play well, or that your team's not going to do something stupid and lose. But the best spot to be in as a sports fan is whenever you know your team well enough and you just say, you know what, we may win, we may lose, but I know we have a good team. I know we're gonna give it a good effort. I know this, this is a team that can compete with anyone. And I feel like Ole Miss last year, of course, they lost 3 games. They went into every matchup feeling confident of like, listen, will we win? Will we lose? We'll see how it plays out. But we know we got a squad. We know we have a senior quarterback. We know we have a lot of guys on defense that are big in that front 7. And it's just like, I don't think either team right now really feels that way. I don't think Ole Miss has that same confidence of like, regardless of what happens, we know we got a good team. I think they looked at their team against Kentucky, and I've given them credit. I thought they actually looked better in that second half, but I don't think they saw a team of like, oh, yeah, if we just extrapolate this team and play the rest of the season, it's going to go well. And that's kind of what you want to believe. Whereas Arkansas fans, whether it's true or not, can look at the Arkansas State game and say, well, yeah, if we just extrapolate this effort right here and we just do it, we're going to win 8-9 games. Look at all these teams that suck. And that's the spot you want to be in as a sports fan. And I don't think either fan base in this matchup is really there where they're super confident about their team. And that's when you get the best moments in sports, is when both teams are super confident. Both teams cannot see a path to losing, and they come head to head. Right here, you have a little bit of two fan bases that maybe are watching through their fingers a little bit. Like, I think we're both kind of scared to find out what's going to happen on Saturday, and scared to be met with that reality of how good our team actually is.
Yes, because I've thought about every scenario of what could happen in this game, and I know that there's. I think Arkansas fans, as weird as it may be, Ellis, I think Arkansas fans are more on edge about it than Ole Miss fans are, just because Arkansas fans, as we've talked about, they know what it would mean and what would be at stake. Where Ole Miss fans, they're I'm not saying they're overlooking the team is, but like the fans are. I'm looking at LSU. I'm looking at when we play Alabama or whoever. Like, they're looking at these other teams that are circled on their schedule that they're like, those are going to be the difference between us making the playoffs. That's not even a factor for Arkansas right now. It's like they don't look at Arkansas being like, oh, they're going to be the difference in us making the playoffs until something happens and Arkansas beats them. And then in that case, they're going to be like, hey, wait a minute. This wasn't part of the plan. And then they're going to be like, we suck. We're not any good. Lane Kiffin is not going to like, it's going to change an entire narrative to it. And I know it's different coaches, different teams, different scenarios, but I'm curious your thoughts on it from this series. Why is it this game, these two teams that have had such insane games? Why? I mean, I know that teams, you're going to play often, you're going to have crazy games, but I don't think that there's a single team or a single matchup in SEC, at least over the past 20 years, that have had more insane, historic, epic, crazy games on both sides than Arkansas and Ole Miss. Why? Why these two teams of all teams?
So it's interesting. And I think, one, Arkansas and Ole Miss, if you just look at the big picture of college football from a large standpoint, they're pretty similar programs, like in similar levels. There's been years where Arkansas has been better. There's been eras where Arkansas has been better. There's been eras like right now where Ole Miss is a little bit better, but there's not a ton of separation historically between these two programs. We could kind of have that debate if we want. From a state standpoint, it's not like the state of Mississippi, although weirdly enough, it does have more talent than the state of Arkansas. It's not like the state of Mississippi is this state that's cranking out crazy football talent, and neither is Arkansas, of course. And so I don't know if it's just like geographic, these teams are close, historic, these teams are close, and then state talent and stuff like that when you're splitting it with Mississippi State and Arkansas, or Mississippi and Arkansas, not a ton of difference. I also think in terms of the rivalry, though, of the last, I would say 20 years, specifically this Pittman and Kiffin era, there's such a contrast in styles. Like Arkansas, for most of the Brett Bielema and Sam Pittman era, have been this like smash mouth physical football team, and Ole Miss has been the high flying, throw the ball around the yard, up tempo, spread. And I think anytime in sports, when you get styles make fights, people always say that. When you get two contrasting styles, it rarely plays out like in the middle. It's usually like, all right, one team dominates the other. If you have the guy that's throwing 100 miles an hour versus the hitter who has a ton of power, it's usually a strikeout or a home run. And I think in this rivalry, we've seen a little bit of that. We've seen it kind of in between. I think the styles of the way these two programs have gone about their business has led to some unique matchups that don't always play out the way that we think they will. I mean, Ole Miss is sitting there thinking, hey, we're going to be high-flying offense doing what we normally do. And Arkansas is thinking, hey, we're going to smash-mouth these dudes historically. Now, this year, Arkansas doesn't really have that smash-mouth mentality to them on offense, but I think the styles have made the fight a little bit.
No, I think so too. And we're going to use that as part of our Alumni Hall question of the day, presented by our friends over at Alumni Hall, which, listen, we know that as Razorback fans, you're always looking for the best apparel known to man. You're looking for the best spot. You're looking for the place that you can get the high-end stuff, whether it's Peter Millar, whether it's Johnny O, whether it's Columbia, whether it's Southern Tide, no matter what it is, do it with Alumni Hall, because they have online shopping where if you're not even in the Fayetteville area, that's okay. If you go to the website of InsideArkansas.com/Alumni Hall, you'll be able to see all of their apparel that's available to be delivered straight to your door, and they have it all in stock. And it's for men, it's for women, it's for kids, it's for everybody. And if you use that code HOGSBY20 for 20% off, you get 20% off your purchase. Simple as that. And also, as a reminder, we're going to be there live on Friday, before the Notre Dame game. So be sure to come and hang out with us if you're going to be in town for that, which I know you will. But either way, get ready for the Razorback football season with Alumni Hall. It's the ultimate Razorback shopping experience. So, Ellis, we're talking about just the question of the day in these games. I knew the answer to this, but I was going to ask it just like, what was the kind of the most memorable, or the game that you think of the most when it comes to Arkansas and Ole Miss? Is it 2015 for you, the Hunter Henry Heave? I mean, is that the one that first pops into your mind?
Yes, that was my birthday, November 8th, 2015. It was a great day. It was the day I turned 18, the day I became a man, got my first cigarette and all that. It was a tremendous day. I had a lot of fun watching that with my buddies. I also remember there being an Alabama LSU game after Arkansas's game, and LSU got absolutely punked. And so it was just a perfect day. I got to watch Arkansas win with my buddies, and then I got to watch my buddies be miserable as LSU lost. One of the best days of my life, easily.
So I get it, and I don't say one way or the other as far as anybody saying 2015 is wrong, because it is still, to me, the most insane finish to a Razorback football game of all time. And I honestly, just to be honest with you, Andrew, I don't think that Hunter Henry Heave play gets enough credit. I don't think it gets talked about enough from the national perspective, because that play still is yet to ever really happen in college football. Like, we see Hail Marys, we see the Stanford Cal plays of lateraling it, not all the time, but it does happen. I still have yet to see any play like that Hunter Henry Heave on 4th and 25 in overtime. And you have yet to see it. So I get it. to me, it's always going to be the 7 overtime game, though, because I know I'm a little older than you, and I remember that game well. Ironically enough, we had just hired a new preacher at my church, and he had come over. He's a Razorback fan. He came over, and we watched it all together. And I remember how late it was, and watching Eli Manning versus Matt Jones, and that was like the first one ever at 7 overtimes, and it was the old rules, which was cool. But Jermaine Petty getting the tackle, I'm always going to remember that. And fun fact, Mike Golick was on the call for that game. So really going to throwback. But that's always going to be the first one I think of between these two teams. But again, you could have said that one. You could have said, again, Hunter Henry Heave in 2015. 2014 was a crazy one, too. It's 30-0. You shut them out in Fayetteville when they were number 8 in the country. You think about 2016, Santos Ramirez, the boot boy hitting Swag Kelly on 4th down to win the game there. You think about 6 picks and 3 of them for the no-fly zone in 2020. The 2021 game that we talked. I mean, there's just so many to choose from that really was epic about these games. And to answer the question I asked you of why I think that is, I honestly, truly think there's just so many similarities. And you've had ups and downs with both programs. Some have hired great coaches, not so great, vice versa. The only difference is that Arkansas has never had any wins vacated. So I guess there's that, or at least not during that era. But I mean, there's just so many great games to choose from. And that's why, man, I look forward to it. I just hope Arkansas is on the winning end this time around.
Yeah, I mean, you listed off a ton of those. The 2002 7 overtime game, 2002, right? Or 2003? 2001. That game I was 3 years old for, so I didn't watch it when it happened. My aunt had that game on VCR taped over. She had it taped on VCR, and I used to watch it as like a 8 or 9 year old. That's how I will consume that game, and so it has a special place in my heart, but for kind of a different reason. The 2014 game was tough because it wasn't an awesome atmosphere, but I remember me and my brother watching the LSU game the week before where they beat LSU 17-0, and like spur of the moment, we were like, we're going to that Ole Miss game. We're driving up to Fayetteville. We made that happen. 2016 though, that Santos Ramirez game might have been the biggest hit. Or like I feel like it's the most underrated Arkansas atmosphere that we've had at Razorback Stadium in terms of just crowd noise, people there. The moment was cool. You had the Mia Khalifa thing the day before. Like there was just a lot of buzz there. And, that 2016 season was kind of a weird one because it wasn't an awesome season that we're going to tell our grandkids about, but there were some awesome moments. I mean, that TCU game was unreal. Raleigh Williams having 500 yards against Mississippi State and beating them later in the year. Like that was unreal. That Ole Miss game was awesome. I was at that LSU game where they got hammered as well.
Yeah, beating Florida the first time that year. Remember?
Beating the crap out of Florida too in the Anthracites. The final good moment of the Anthracites. There's been so many cool moments, and I'm with you where like I just think this is destined to happen. Like I just think this rivalry is going to continue to yield weird moments, and there's been some good ones for Ole Miss as well. Like it goes back and forth a little bit, but I just think it's one of these things where there's going to be years where Arkansas is better than Ole Miss. There's going to be years where Ole Miss is better than Arkansas, but there's never really going to be that much separation. And I think when you get these two teams together, you realize they're a lot more similar than maybe they appear on paper some years.
Yeah. In fact, the only games that really weren't that insane or memorable for either team was the Matt Luke versus Chad Morris days. I mean, that was a thing that happened between the two. So, that was just crazy to think, that 2016 game with Santos Ramirez, it was great. And because it was one of the few games where Arkansas scores the go-ahead touchdown and then they get the ball or they give the ball back to the other team and they don't screw it up. It seems like anytime you give time to the other team, you're like, oh, okay, well, just go downfield and you're going to end up screwing it up. But of course, Joe Tess with one of the most iconic, which I love Joe Tess. I know some people don't, but I love Joe Tessitore. And on that final 4th down play, you can actually feel Razorback Stadium shaking underneath our feet right now. Soak it in, folks. Game on the line. That was epic. So a lot of good games to choose from. And, a lot of these have happened in Fayetteville. Some of them have happened in Oxford. And Arkansas, say what you want. But one of my favorite things, real quick, because I know we have some other things we'll get into. My favorite thing about this series is really that 2015 game, not because it was just awesome, because it was. That's the game that kept Ole Miss from going to their very first SEC championship game. They have still never played in the SEC title game. And to put that in perspective, folks, Arkansas has played in 3, which, is not like a ton. They haven't won any of them, but at least they've been there. Mississippi State's played in 1 because they tied Arkansas and had the tiebreaker. But Ole Miss never played in 1. That 2015 team, all they had to do was stop Arkansas on 4th and 25, and they would have been in the SEC title game, and they just couldn't do it. That makes me happy.
Beat Bama that year. How crazy is that? Shout out to our boy John Beckman, who's in the chat today, and he says both teams have had Houston Nutt as their head coach. He is right. That is a fact. Also, this is a game that did not go Arkansas's way, but that 2008 game in Fayetteville when Houston Nutt came back, that was an unreal atmosphere. Hogs got screwed on the call at the end, but the Houston Nutt thing definitely, it was a very quick era, because he was only at Ole Miss for like 3 or 4 years. And his last few years, he was horrible there. But that definitely added a little bit of fuel to that fire for sure.
Oh, and see, that's why I always bring up with, Kentucky fans hate watching John Calipari. It's like, I get it to a little bit because I was one of those that would hate watch Houston Nutt when he was at Ole Miss and loved, what was it, the Jeremiah Masoli project that he had, brought him in. And they had a quarterback. I forgot who it was the next year because that's the thing is everyone talks about Houston Nutt, which I get, but he won back-to-back 9-win Cotton Bowls against Ole Miss with Ed Orgeron's players. Then the final 2 years he went 4-8 and 2-10. So let's just throw that out there. But either way,
he did the reverse Ed Orgeron.
Yes, exactly. All right, Ellis, real quick, I got a trivia question for you if you're interested. I don't know if you would know this one, but between Arkansas and Ole Miss, they have played in a lot of different locations besides Fayetteville and Oxford. Could you name the cities, just the cities of where they have played besides Fayetteville and Oxford?
Little Rock.
Yep.
Memphis.
Yep.
There's a weird one. Did they play in Nashville?
No.
I should know this because I've looked this up before. How many is it, did you say?
You only have 2 more to mention.
Only 2 more cities.
One of them was the bowl game. I'll go ahead and say they played the Sugar Bowl against each other.
Okay, I was going to say, did they play in like the Sugar Bowl?
In the 70s, yeah.
Okay, so that's New Orleans?
Yeah.
Was there another Louisiana or another Tennessee?
Nope.
Jackson.
There you go, Jackson, Mississippi. Yep, Jackson, Mississippi.
Right.
So, yeah, it just cracks me because I look at the history. There was a time where Arkansas and Ole Miss played each other every year, either in Little Rock or Jackson. They never did it at home. There was like a stretch where they've alternated Little Rock or Jackson. So, yeah. But you know what? Ole Miss doesn't play in Jackson anymore. Wonder why.
What a concept.
Wonder if their governor got involved with that whole thing. So we're not no need to reopen the wounds. We're not trying to reopen the wounds, but still. We'll get to more of your conversations, folks, and talk a little Taylen Green here in a second. But I want to remind everybody here on Inside Arkansas, we're brought to you by our friends over at Walter Christmas Lighting of Arkansas. We talked about the Notre Dame week, how we're going to be at Alumni Hall that Friday. Well, also that week, we are going to be doing a giveaway, an exclusive giveaway to all of you listeners, to where Walter Christmas Lighting of Arkansas is going to hook you up with a free setup, a free Halloween lighting for your home, as long as you're in the Northwest Arkansas or River Valley area. That week leading up to it, we're going to do the giveaway. We'll give you details, but it's an awesome thing. They do such a great job. And if you want to have your neighborhood be the talk of the neighborhood and have your house lit up like crazy for the Halloween season, well, give our guy Brett a text, 479-459-1380. That's 479-459-1380. They're going to provide all the materials, any color, any pattern. They also install the lights for you, and they're going to give you free maintenance throughout the holiday season. And you can also check out their Facebook page by scanning that QR code on your screen, or you can go to walterchristmaslighting.com. It's Walter Christmas Lighting of Arkansas, your local holiday lighting experts. And also, hopefully he doesn't, it's not bad to say, but he's going to be doing our guy Curtis's house. He's going to be lighting them up for Halloween. So that's pretty cool. It's a good, have a good picture moment, with the new kid, old Wesley gets to experience his first Halloween with some Halloween lights. So we'll have that. Okay. So another thing too, that we'll get into, speaking of Taylen Green, he was on, I don't know if you had a chance to watch this, Andrew, but he was on ESPN Sports Center, college football final live, whatever it's called. But he was doing an interview, and did he say anything like crazy? But I'll tell you what, we'll just play the clip and we'll let you decide. But I think it was kind of fascinating to see his approach to things.
And Taylen, listen, we're only 2 weeks into the season really now at this point, but you are just slowly starting to climb up draft boards. 10 touchdown passes through 2 games, more than Garrett Nussmeier, Arch Manning, Gunnar Stockton combined. And so when you look back at the last couple of weeks, what has allowed you to take such a leap so far this season?
I would say, first is my teammates. They're giving me, the time, and how we have, explosive receivers and tight ends and running backs, and just our preparation and how we practice. We practice full speed all day, every day, and my coach is coming up with a great game plan, and I just got to trust it and do my job each and every play.
One of your coaches, your offensive coordinator, Bobby Petrino, has compared you to his former Heisman winning quarterback, Lamar Jackson, at least in photograph,
Casual.
right? So we got the dual hurdles going on there. What kind of Heisman potential has he said that he sees for you in this offensive scheme?
He sets me to that standard every single day. There's my footwork or my fundamentals, throwing the ball, whether it's in the weight room, every single day he holds me to that standard, and he sees greatness in me. And he's gonna let me know when I'm not hitting that standard and when I am. So I definitely love Coach Petrino and I have a deep respect for him because every single day he demands perfection and greatness out of me.
All right. So again, nothing too crazy there, but it's always cool to see, Taylen getting his flowers a little bit and the great year he's had. And speaking highly of Petrino, which I always love that anytime he starts talking about Petrino and the conversations he has a smile on his face because I'm sure he's sitting there laughing, thinking, yeah, the conversations was him screaming at me and wanting to tear my head off. But I think that, the comparisons of Lamar Jackson and everything, I'm not saying it's valid, but it is a cool thing to kind of him getting the recognition that maybe he's starting to deserve. And if they win this weekend because of him, he's definitely going to start getting some major recognition.
Yeah, I mean, regardless of, if what Taylen does from here on out, if he's going to win the Heisman, if he's going to do all these things, whatever, it's just cool to have your program on this, stage, getting that spotlight, getting that love, and having people talk about you. That is, I mean, I'm not saying that's the only thing that matters. We're just all trying to get people to get people to talk about us, but it is important and it is cool for people to see your program in the light. And it's also not that hard if you're recruiting quarterbacks to be like, hey, look at our quarterback right here being compared to Lamar Jackson, being brought on ESPN. He's on these big platforms. Like, this is a good thing. And I think it just kind of furthers that narrative of Bobby Petrino being the QB whisperer, being a guy that can get you the best play possible out of your quarterback. I think regardless of what Taylen does and regardless of how valid the comparisons are, this is a good thing for Arkansas. Like, this is good. This is a good thing to sell to the nation. I just worry that Hog fans, and I know for a fact, Hog fans will throw this in Taylen Green's face as soon as he does not live up to those expectations. As soon as Arkansas loses to Ole Miss, I thought he was a Heisman quarterback. Why are we not winning? And so there's good and bad that comes with it. Most of that bad comes from, again, just people being mad at the narrative. But I think it's cool. I think it's cool to see Taylen get his hype. And Taylen, by the way, is such a great representative of the program. Like, it's just good to have someone that is a leader for your team that knows what to say in these situations, that is out there representing you. That's nothing but good for Arkansas. But I know you know this, John, that like as soon as Taylen starts, not performing at a Heisman level, people will gladly hold him to that standard. Like he said, Bobby holds him to that standard. Well, this fan base is going to hold you to that standard. And by the way, everyone that's been mad that we're not throwing Taylen in yesterday, everybody's like, why is he not in Heisman conversations? Well, be careful what you wish for, because now going forward, we are going to, like he said, judge him on that Heisman standard.
Yeah, see, I'm the same way of knowing how people will react and how they will treat him, but I also understand that that's not unique to Arkansas, and it's also not saying it's right or wrong, but let's be honest, it's SEC football. You got quarterbacks, like you're gonna feel that way. If one of the guys is not performing well, you're gonna be very upset with them. And if you need any sort of example of that, you think back to Brandon Allen and how much he was getting reamed until his final year. Then suddenly it changed a little bit. Or, how people would sometimes feel about KJ Jefferson or sometimes feel about, whoever. There came some frustrations, but it's always about how you look back upon it. Because I think Brandon Allen, for instance, is looked back on much more fondly than I think people would have expected in the moment. I think it's the same thing with someone like a Matt Jones. And again, Matt Jones is my childhood hero, but it's kind of like the Michael Jordan thing where you only remember the highlights. You only remember the great plays, but do you remember the times where he did make a mistake? He did throw a bad pick, that he did fumble the ball or whatever. It's happened before. So the point is that you can take it however you want. You can be upset in the moment, but my expectation for Taylen Green is not winning a Heisman. My Taylen Green expectation is not looking at Bobby Petrino tweeting out a picture of like, throwback or whatever of a hurdle and being like, see, I thought Taylen Green was just average, but now after Bobby put that out, it better be Heisman. I'm not approaching it that way. I'm approaching it in just don't make the mistakes. Like, that's the thing. I don't think anyone's going to hate on you or have issues with you if you just don't turn the ball over, if you don't make bad decisions in those critical moments. To me, that's how Taylen Green can be remembered in a positive light. But there's no doubt when you hear him talk, I could not think of two opposite personalities than him and Bobby Petrino, which is funny that it works. But, besides the play on the field, I'm a big Taylen Green guy. I know you are too. Dude could not be nicer. He's been nice to us. He had no reason to be. He's very humble and said, I'm just really rooting for him in those interviews. The more people see that from him, I think it's also going to help him in his Heisman campaign if he continues to play really well.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said about capability, obviously, of like, oh, what throws can you make? What runs can we run with you? What can we do with our offense? And I think Taylen, of course, checks all those boxes, but he's checked all those boxes since he was a freshman. It's never been an issue of capability physically. The difference that separates these pretty good quarterbacks that are fun to watch and these guys that end up in these Heisman lists and end up in these All-American lists and ends up playing in the playoff is doing it consistently, doing it at a high level, doing it confidently. And I think Taylen is, at least trending in the right direction in that regard. We'll see what the consistency looks like in SEC play. But I love everything we've been seeing from Taylen from a mental standpoint, from just a confidence. He feels like a guy who is a senior in year 2 under Bobby Petrino. And we'll see if that carries over into Ole Miss when he's playing against a quarterback who does not check all of those boxes in terms of capability and consistency and been there, done that before, and can do it at a high level.
So which quarterbacks would you trade Taylen Green for straight up right now in the SEC of other teams? Which is not going to be any sort of insult of Taylen. Like if any of us come up with an idea behind that, that's not the purpose of it. It's more of where you kind of see him. Like, who would you trade straight up for right now?
I mean, it's tough. Like, there's really not many, and I'm not even as high on Taylen as some of the people in the Razorback fan base. But I think there's something to be said about like him being the guy that Bobby Petrino wanted, and he's of course been in this offense for 2 years. Like, is DJ Lagway a more talented quarterback than Taylen Green? Probably. And like, is he going to have a better career long term? Probably. But I wouldn't trade DJ Lagway for Taylen Green, or trade Taylen Green for DJ Lagway, I should say. Lenoris Sellers would be a guy that would be like someone you would think about, but is there a vast difference there to where like, oh yeah, it would guarantee Lenoris Sellers in this offense, he would be functioning at a high level? I don't really know. And so, I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't trade anybody for him, John, but I think that Taylen, the reason the things I love about Taylen is how much of a perfect fit he is for what Bobby wants to do and how much he seems to have command of the offense. And so I'd have to really think about it. I mean, that I got to say, that Missouri quarterback is unreal. He's going to get tested, and we'll see. I'm sure he'll suck in SEC play. But I really like him. But I know I definitely would not trade Arch. I would not want Arch on Arkansas's team. I don't think Arch in this setting would be great. Lenoris Sellers would be a guy that I would think. I mean, by the way, Garrett Nussmeier is the answer. I would definitely trade Taylen for Garrett Nussmeier. I just think Garrett Nussmeier is a pro. You see what he did against Clemson and how fast his processing speed is, how much he's able. I mean, dude, he was dealing with a muddy pocket that entire game, and he was making plays. I think Garrett Nussmeier in this offense would be unbelievable. Mateer at Oklahoma is definitely a gamer. He's been good with a bad offensive line. I'd love to see what he could look like with a good offensive line. That's the short list. Sellers, Nussmeier, maybe Mateer.
And that's my point, because I agree with you. 2, maybe 3 quarterbacks in the SEC that you trade up, which, again, is not saying that Taylen Green is for sure bona fide the 3rd or 4th best quarterback in the SEC. It's not how I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it from the perspective of if you're someone right now, at least, because things change. Bad play can change your mind and good play can change your mind. But right now, if you're someone that's like, I'm not big on Taylen Green, I don't think this, that's what you kind of need to look at it in that lens of like, so, okay, so who would you trade up? It's one of my favorite things to do if anyone gets mad at your coach. If you're like, I want this coach fired, it's like, okay, well, look at your conference and then look at all the other head coaches and be like, how many of them would you trade straight up for? There's probably cases that you would trade a lot of them. Like Chad Morris was here. Yeah, you'd trade all 14 of them or 13, so however many of them for him. But, if you're going through that, you kind of have to look at it through that lens. And that's how I feel about Taylen, where I wouldn't trade him. And I think it's very have to say I'm giving myself credit, but that was my whole thing when they hired Bobby Petrino, Andrew, was Pittman told him to go get his quarterback. If the quarterback's on the team, then that's great. But if they want to go get somebody out of the portal, that's great too. Bobby, go get your quarterback. And Bobby wanted Taylen Green. And so he got Taylen Green for a reason. Bobby knows quarterbacks. He knows ball. He knows how to handle them. And that's why I still believe it's going to be a great year for Taylen. Hopefully he continues to develop. But that's just one of those things to where I felt like, hey, I trust Bobby. If that's the quarterback he wants, you're not trying to be like the Dan Enos thing. Hey, make KJ Jefferson work, even though he wasn't your quarterback. I'm not saying that that's KJ's fault or Dan Enos' fault. It's just about fit. And I honestly think that Sam Pittman learned his lesson from that Dan Enos thing of saying, all right, if I'm going to hire a new OC, I'm not going to force him to play with our guy. I'm going to say, hey, go get whoever you are comfortable with, and we'll go from there. And that's why you're seeing Bobby and Taylen have so much success together.
I really, John, I hate to do this. I hate to be the guy who throws all the cold water on this whole thing because we're having a great discussion. And by the way, everything we've said, I think we're on the same page very much. But man, I'm just noticing the chat and how many people really are like would not trade Taylen for anybody and think it's actually crazy that we would consider trading Taylen for anybody. I'm not saying that, you're wrong. I'm just saying like we do need to see some things. Like there were several, literally last year, Taylen played 8 SEC games. He did not throw a touchdown in 4 of those games. And in a couple of those games that he threw a touchdown, Auburn, he was 12 for 27. A&M, he, basically unraveled in the second half of that game. There is a lot of room between that and the best quarterback in the SEC. And I'm not saying Taylen hasn't made up a lot of that ground, but I think people are forgetting what SEC play looked like last year for Taylen Green. Again, he's going to be vastly improved, but man, I'm surprised by how many people were like offended that we like would trade anybody for him.
Well, again, it's a matter of opinion. And I think people who, you ride with your guy, even if he's not the best, he's like, well, he's my guy. He's my guy. So I think that there's that element to it, but trying to look at it objectively and look at it from the lens of the big picture. Cause here in Arkansas, you get who you want. And here's the thing. If somebody actually came to me and was like, hey, we're doing NFL trade right now with Taylen Green and Garrett Nussmeier, and you get to make the call. Am I going to say, yeah, 100%, let's do it. Yeah, screw Taylen Green. No, it's just you got to look at it in that perspective of the question. And that's my thing is, right now, there's not many quarterbacks I would trade. However, if Taylen Green goes in there in Oxford and has another big game where he has 4 or 5 total touchdowns and he doesn't turn the ball over and his completion percentage is good and he's beating them with his legs, and even, dare I say, Arkansas gets the win on top of that, then guess what? I'm going to be like, John Mateer, who? No. I'm going to look at Lenore Sellers. Nah, who's that guy? He plays for South Carolina. No one knows who that is. Like it's about what you see in front of you. And right now, you don't feel that way because let's also be honest about this too, Andrew. Take it a year ago, say after Texas A&M. I guarantee you that after that Texas A&M game, a lot of Razorback fans will be like, I'd trade half the SEC quarterbacks for Taylen Green right now. But that's reality. You just, like you said, you have to see things in order to promote that. And it's the same thing with Taylen Green right now.
100%. And like, I'm with you. Like I will gladly, like, look, this Saturday is such a big opportunity for Taylen because that narrative of him being a guy that is good against bad defenses and bad against good defenses, that you can, I'm saying you can just wipe it away completely. You go out there and beat Ole Miss, all of a sudden I will rethink. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Wow, he's doing this against a legitimate SEC defense on the road. Like, wow, this is a notable thing here. Like, this is a notable development. That context is always changing, and I do think it's interesting. I also think there's some people that just maybe haven't looked at some of these other quarterbacks in the SEC and seen what they do play to play. But it is going to be fascinating to see if Taylen, because for his career, he's been pretty similar statistically throughout all of his years so far. On pace this year, obviously he's going to crush all that. But we're going to see how much separation there really is. And I guess my thing is like, I don't know if there's been that much that has changed in the first 2 weeks. Like I saw a great version of Taylen Green, but it's not terribly dissimilar from the version of Taylen Green I watched in the Liberty Bowl or the version I watched of Taylen Green against UAPB. And so it's so funny how one day, like you said, you can view it and you're like, man, I wouldn't trade Taylen for anybody. And then it changes really quickly. And I'm not saying it's going to go that drastically. I don't think his floor and ceiling are as are as far between each other as they were last year. But it is going to be fascinating because, I mean, half this fan base wanted him benched last year.
Yeah.
And now we are. We're like, yeah, I probably wouldn't trade anybody except for Garrett Nussmeier for him.
Yeah. And again, before I know we're hammering this point, but I want to make sure everyone understands. I'm not blaming you or saying you're wrong for feeling those ways in those moments. You're not wrong. Because there's 10 times I have felt like I wanted people fired. I wanted people benched in the moment. I was like, dude, get Nelly Davis off the court. There was a time where that was the case, but that changed at the end of the year. That's okay. That's sports. You're fans. That's the way it's going to go. It's just a matter of don't let that one moment or that passion or whatever dictate your feelings when they start to prove you wrong one way or the other. Don't go all in on a quarterback because you loved him at one moment, and then time and time again, he lets you down, and then you're still like, nope, he's the best. He's the best. Look at the moments and put it all together, and then you can make your decision there. But like you said, this is a big game for him this weekend, and if he plays really well, it's going to be awesome, and people are going to promote him. He's going to be on Feinbaum on Monday. Like it'll be blowing up. But if he doesn't play well and Arkansas loses, there's going to be some fans that are upset. That's just reality. It's just the way it is, man. Just the way
what I can't wait for, John?
What?
When Taylen has a bad game this year and someone says, well, Taylen, he can run, but he can't throw. We can have all this nuance of average depth of target, completion percentage, and time to throw, all this accuracy, but people dumb it down to he's fast but can't throw.
Yep.
It's kind of crazy how many people view it through that lens.
He's gonna have to play wide receiver if he wants to go to the NFL, that type of thing. He's gonna play a different position. So we'll get to your chats though, folks. But want to remind everybody, one of our great sponsors here is Goat Lab Red and Goat Lab Brewery. The Goat Lab Red location is the official brewery of Inside Arkansas. So if you are looking for a great place to have lunch with us of Inside Arkansas, if you go into Goat Lab Red at 1214 North Garland Avenue there in Fayetteville, guess what you're going to see? Inside Arkansas Live. Well, you can drink some of their great signature beers, their Goat Lab brews like Razorback Tusk and Tusk Light, or eat one of their great signature burgers. Oh, yeah. You can do that while watching us at noon right there for lunch at Goat Lab Red. And if you're looking for a great place to watch the game this weekend, they're also the great places. They have all the TVs, all the beer, all the great food too. Pre-game, during the game, post-game, it's the place to be. And also, just a little side reminder that Goat Lab Brewery up in Lowell, they are having their Ted Lasso trivia night. So if you're a big Ted Lasso fan, they're doing a trivia night tomorrow night from 6 to 8 p.m. at Goat Lab Brewery. So be sure to check it out, as they always have some great events going on there. But no matter what it is, we appreciate Goat Lab Red and Goat Lab Brewery. It is Goat Lab Red, your new game day tradition here with Inside Arkansas. So were you a Ted Lasso guy or no?
I've only watched like the first 2 episodes. I never went through it.
Okay. Yeah, I've watched it. Here's the thing: as I watched it, and I enjoyed it, but I also wasn't like the obsession of some people that were just losing their minds over it. Like, it's the greatest show ever. It's like, yeah, it's good. It's a good show. But
that happens to me sometimes, where I get like turned off of shows because of how much people are like writing for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That'll always kind of rub me the wrong way there if that's the case. Okay, so a few questions. I actually wanted to bring this up. Someone asked it on Twitter to me, because Sam Pittman talked about that he feels that Arkansas can play with anyone on their schedule. Do you agree with that? Like, do you think that they can actually truly play with anyone? I'm not saying beat and win all of them, but is there a team that you look at that's like, oh, Arkansas is probably going to get wrecked in that game unless they play their A game?
As crazy as this sounds, John, I think the team that is most likely to blow Arkansas out would be the Texas Longhorns. And I know it sounds weird because, Arch sucked and he might have a shoulder injury and all this. Who knows what that'll look like by November. But Texas's defense is pretty disgusting. And so I think they are the team that is most likely to really shut down this Razorback offense. And then I think Arch against Ohio State versus Arch against Arkansas secondary, 2 very different things. I feel like by that point in the year, Sark in Austin is going to have that offense rolling a little bit. I think that, but I mean, again, even Texas, I wouldn't say definitively Arkansas can't play with them. I don't expect them to play them very well. LSU, I got to say, like they can't run the ball, which is a little bit of an issue. Like, they're good, and I mean, Garrett Nussmeier, I think he's the best quarterback in the SEC. LSU cannot run the ball, and their offensive line is not really the type that like moves you at the line of scrimmage. Their defense is improved, but it's far from like a dominant unit by any means. I think there's several teams on Arkansas' schedule that will beat them, but I wouldn't there's not many teams in the SEC that I look at and I'm like, yeah, Arkansas can't play with them. I just think there's some teams they're not going to play as well against.
And I feel that same way that you do, especially at the end of the season, because just like last year with Ole Miss, towards the end of the season, they needed style points. They had just lost a game. So not saying that, you did. My point is that they ran up the score on you on purpose because they needed style points, and that's fine. I don't have any issue with them doing that because Arkansas should have done the same thing if they were in that situation. So like at the end of the year, when you're playing LSU and Texas, because those are your, third and second to last games of the season. And if they're flirting with the playoff and they need some help, they need some style points, then they're going to run it up on you if they have the opportunity to do so. Not saying they will, but if they see an opportunity, they will absolutely do it to you. So that's something you got to take into consideration. But overall, I don't see, I'm with you. I don't see any team that I'm just like, oh gosh, that could be a bloodbath. I don't see that case, but who knows? We're going to find out a lot about these teams as the games go on. There's a few interesting college football games in the SEC this weekend to really watch. You got like Georgia and Tennessee, or is it Georgia? Yeah, it's Georgia, Tennessee in that matchup. So, that one's pretty fascinating. I think you have Florida, LSU also this weekend too to be on the lookout for. So, yeah, some of these games.
Yeah, Florida's got a gauntlet of a schedule coming up following their loss. Like Billy Napier really might not get through the year. But you're right. We reserve our rights to change our minds after watching these teams play a little bit. We'll know a lot more. Because what if we play Saturday and Ole Miss has 580 yards of offense and Austin Simmons looks great and they're able to really control Arkansas down the stretch and they're just able to, by the fourth quarter, they're just gashing that defensive line. All of a sudden, that question of, could there be any teams that blow, is there any team that Arkansas can't play with? My answer would be a little bit different where I'm like, oh, wow, if some of these teams are able to just impose their will on Arkansas's defense, I think that's possible. But I do think Arkansas's offense gives them at least a puncher's chance in most games.
Yeah, I'm with you. So let's get to the chat and let's get to what you crazies in there are talking about. And let's do it presented by our friends over at Basis Health, where they're changing the way healthcare is delivered by providing mobile medical visits to the comfort of your very own home. A doctor will come to your home for urgent care, primary care, IV hydration, and so much more. It's Basis Health. They're here for you when and where you need them the most. You can learn more at basishealth.org today. You can also scan that QR code right there on your screen. It's Basis Health. Shout out to our guy, Dre, for being partners with us here at Inside Arkansas. All right, some of your chats, folks. So we're talking a lot of Arkansas and Ole Miss. Let's see. Hunter Ratio just says, I love this part of the season. Hope at an all-time high. That is true. That is the nice thing. It's like you're 2-0. You've looked good. I did the round table with Locked On last night, and I actually felt I was talking some trash, and it was kind of nice because I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to do this again, but right now you're undefeated. You're perfect. This team is perfect. So,
dude, I remember us doing shows leading up to the Oklahoma State game last year, and I believe at least you and me and maybe all three of us picked Arkansas to beat Oklahoma State. Like we were like fairly confident going into that matchup. And in hindsight, even seeing them lose, we should have been more confident going into that matchup. But I remember how many people got so mad at us for even considering that Oklahoma State might win that game. That like there was even a possibility. And frankly, they shouldn't have won that game. I'm with you, but like people were so mad, but it's because when you're undefeated and you've never seen your team lose, it's easy to just think, they're just never going to do it. Like, until I see someone whip our ass, nobody can whip our ass.
Yep. And that's okay. Again, totally fine. Wear it until you can't anymore, especially in football. You're undefeated. Because, man, if you beat Ole Miss, which we'll probably talk more on Friday, but if you beat Ole Miss, the arrogance and cockiness from Hog fans are going to go through the roof. And, folks, embrace it. Just embrace it. That week leading up to Memphis, look at them as peons that it's going to be no problem. Do it. You should. You deserve it. You deserve a week of, yeah, we're going to do this, and I could see the playoff happening. Like, you deserve a week of that.
Well, and also there's going to be a lot of people nationally who were like, oh, wow, like stunned by it. If you beat Ole Miss, it's not that, I mean, you're only an 8.5-point underdog, but nationally there would be a lot of people that'd be like, whoa, Arkansas just beat Ole Miss in Oxford? Like, wow. And I think it would be funny in that moment if they come to Arkansas fans and we're all just like, yeah, we beat Ole Miss. Like, of course we beat Ole Miss. We knew we were going to beat Ole Miss. We've known all along that we were awesome.
Yeah. And you know what sucks? And I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but it is kind of unfortunate because you know that the person that's not going to get any credit for it from at least many people is going to be Sam Pittman. I mean, I get it, but it's like, got to give the man credit, because people are going to be giving credit to Bobby and giving credit to Taylen, or maybe if the defense steps up again and plays really good, or Travis Williams. No one's going to give as much credit to Pittman. And you know what? I'm making it known right now, Ellis, that if Arkansas beats Ole Miss, me personally, I will dedicate an entire either Locked On Razorbacks podcast or even a segment saying, here's why Sam Pittman deserves credit. And I'm going to give him his flowers if that happens. So,
I mean, listen, if they win 0.5 to 0 on Saturday, John, Sam Pittman should get a lot of credit. Like, seriously, anybody, everybody in the program should get credit. But it's like, seriously, if they win, no matter how they do it, you got to give credit where it's due.
Yeah. Again, you can't blame him for the losses, but not give him any credit for wins. That's just not how that works. Finch says, anybody else notice Ticketmaster went up on their prices for Memphis, Arkansas football game overnight? I did not notice that. I've not been checking Ticketmaster on the daily for those tickets, but I trust you. I'm sure part of it is just about listen, there's so many things with those third-party apps that would cause that to happen. I have no clue. Zero clue why. It could have been just an influx of people buying a bunch. They're like, oh, jack up the prices. It could have been something as simple as that.
Of all the ticket places to go to, Ticketmaster should be like 15th on your list.
Yes.
Like you should, unless it's a venue that only does Ticketmaster, you should check StubHub, you should check SeatGeek, you should check Game Time, you should check all of them and really review. And I'm not even cutting a promo for them. I'm saying you should check all of them before you go to Ticketmaster.
Yes, 100%. K. Stewart says, is anyone shocked that Arkansas's O-line's outplaying Ole Miss's O-line? I'm not.
Well, I'm not, because the level of competition has been different. I mean, not that Ole Miss has played, they've only played one real game as opposed to Arkansas 0. But yeah, Arkansas's O-line should be playing well in these games. Ole Miss's offensive line was a bit of a question mark coming into the year. They had a lot of turnover there. They're replacing a lot of guys. What's interesting is if you look at PFF, which, by the way, PFF has just ripped apart Ole Miss's offensive line. Like, they think they suck. PFF has not been super kind to Arkansas's offensive line in terms of the run blocking. Now, pass protection, Arkansas has been awesome. They've excelled there. But like Caden Kittler is one of the worst centers in the SEC per PFF. Carmona's been fine. Corey Robinson and Amarian Harris are like lower middle pack of the SEC. It's not like PFF said that Arkansas's offensive line has just been creating gaping holes left and right. They just haven't given up any pressure in pass pro, which is awesome.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by it, just as you said, given the circumstances of the competition. But I'll also say this too. The numbers and the wins, nobody brings it up, but Ole Miss has had a knack, at least under Lane Kiffin, for as far as their offense goes, sometimes their weakest link being their offensive line. They have great quarterback play and great receivers and skill position guys. But there's been times, I'm not saying it's been awful, but I'm just saying compared to the rest of the offense, it's not been up to par. So again, not surprised by that, but this weekend we'll figure it out. Because I'm telling you right now, this is not a knack or an insult against Arkansas's defensive line. But if Ole Miss can't block Arkansas's defensive line consistently throughout the game, then they do have a true, legitimate offensive line problem, 100%. But we'll see. By the way, I saw something. I don't know if it's true, and I hate to even bring it up, but Patrick Kudus is playing in this game, right?
He's the one that's been playing at right guard. Is not as Jalen Braxton. He will be out for this game, but it seems like Haz and Kudus will be playing. So Kudus has not played well, but he is playing.
So who's going to be up against old Coot? Is it going to? I guess it'll be
little Gerard, little Campbell.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to mean anything to them. I guess Campbell it may not mean anything to them in general, but just again, finding your motivation to make it happen. Let's see. Some of these are just really dumb. Let's see. James says, guys, will the All Hogs O-line be able to protect against the front of Ole Miss? Yeah, we kind of talked about that a little bit. Austin from work says he gets a lot of crap, but TG seems like such a quality dude. He's a quality dude. And
yeah, I think anybody who's given TG crap in the personality department or in the like as a man department is weird. I think like he has given us nothing to work with in terms of making fun of. But yeah, he gets most of the time that's people, and that's how it always is. The people that make fun of athletes are not making fun of athletes for the most part for their personalities. They're making fun of them because they think they suck at football.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Does TG still get a lot of crap though?
I don't think so. I mean, it's mainly like if you see, not coming after Austin for work, but it's just how life is on social media. It's like if you see one or two people say something, it's like you think that he's just getting a lot of crap. Like, no, it doesn't mean he's getting a lot of crap. You just saw a couple people giving him crap. But it doesn't mean that it's just consistent going out through everything there too. Also, Chris says, does Kentucky have an elite defense? And is their defense better than ours? Wondering how close the game will be this weekend.
So tough to tell because, I mean, again, we haven't seen a lot of these teams play even in Kentucky's worst years, their defense is good. Like last year, they went 4-8. Their defense was good. Their defense was rated better than Arkansas's across the board. I would assume that's the case this year. I'm not, giving you an educated answer on that. I'm just giving Mark Stoops the benefit of the doubt. They typically have a pretty solid defense, and most years it is better than Arkansas's. Does that necessarily mean that theirs is better than Arkansas's? No. Obviously, we're about to play the same team they just played week 2, so we'll kind of find out. But I would say there's not a huge separation either way, though. Yeah. But I would probably say their defense is better because Arkansas's defense has not been projected to be very good.
No, and I think one thing that Kentucky has had, given their circumstances, is they've been known for being more of a physical team. Having good defenses, solid offensive lines. I mean, they haven't maybe been the sexiest team of all time, but it has kind of been their calling card. And I want to say last year when Kentucky beat Ole Miss, wasn't the final score very low scoring? So
yeah, they held Ole Miss to like 12. They held Georgia to like 14 or something like that. They had some impressive performances even in a really bad year.
Yeah, so there's probably something to that. Also, David says, are Phillip Lee and Quincy Rhodes the most important players in this game? I can't think of a more important matchup. I mean, yeah, I would say from the perspective of you got to get pressure on a quarterback that may not be very good and you want to ruin his confidence, then yes. But I also believe that this Razorback team goes as the offense goes, and if Taylen Green does not play well, Arkansas is not going to win. Plain and simple.
I would also say Arkansas's corners are going to be huge in this matchup. They were so good last week. Kaniah Walker was unbelievable against Arkansas State. He's been unbelievable in the first 2 games. Julian Neal had a lot of tackles, which, I'm going to leave it at that. I think that Arkansas at the corner position specifically, I've been very impressed with Kaniah Walker to the point where I'm almost like changing the way I view it, where I'm like, hey, Arkansas might have one good corner. I think that other corner spot is still very much a red flag, and I think it's going to be interesting to see what Arkansas's corners look like against some other receivers. That Wallace kid for Ole Miss is really good. I know that we spent all last week talking about Corey Rucker and that he didn't do anything. I would love for that to be a repeat. I think this is a big test for Arkansas's corners. If Kaniah Walker plays well in this game, I'm just officially declaring Kaniah Walker good.
Yeah, I am too. I'm willing to do it. There's a lot of players, honestly, if they play well in this game, I'm going to start saying, hey, these guys are good. Like Taylen Green's, I think he's good anyways, but, it would kind of be like a confirmation. Mike Washington, like what if he goes out there and has a big game on the ground? It's like, oh, yeah, this guy's good. We're seeing it. On the defensive side, yeah, I think, Kaniah Walker could be one of those guys. Or, if you're trying to hope for a Julian Neal, I know he played well against, or not Julian Neal, Phillip Lee. He played well against Arkansas State. He has another great game. It's like, all right, so this guy's good. There's a lot of players that could really solidify themselves as good if they play well in this game, at least according to us in that regard. So, okay, we'll have our heavy hitters here in a little bit too, but want to remind everybody that here on Inside Arkansas, presented by our friends over at Hickey and Hole Law. A lot of you are going to need legal representation at some point in time in your life. Sometimes it can be things as personal and as serious as divorce and custody cases. Sometimes it may be criminal cases or civil litigation, maybe personal injury, maybe estate planning. No matter what it is, you're going to need help. You don't need to do it on your own. So get people that can help you in every way, shape, and form, like the folks over at Hickey and Hole Law. They're going to make it happen for you. They're going to take it seriously. They're going to be very personal with you and making sure that they're with you every step of the way. And when you walk away from these cases, you're always going to feel so much more comfortable, so much better and understanding of what's going on because of them and Hickey and Hole Law. So give them a call today at 479-434-2414. That's 479-434-2414. Or you can check out their website at hickeyandhole.com or scan the QR code right there on your screen. It's Hickey and Hole Law. Things are about to get better. Okay, a few more chats. Shout out to our guy Dylan for the super chase. Says, call me crazy, but I think the Hogs win 38-21. Well, I don't think you'd be crazy. I think if that happened, that'd be pretty cool. And I think it would be great to see Arkansas win that way. But
yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah. I don't care what the score is. If you win, it's going to be great. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah. I mean, dude, like I said, you could win 1-0 and we will celebrate in the streets. But 38-21, that would definitely be the statement that Arkansas would need to make.
Yes, absolutely. And Sean Tarr says, you guys have PTSD. Me too, to a point. Y'all aren't giving the Hogs enough credit. They're going to exceed expectations, no doubt. Again, these are one of these chats. I don't know if this was towards the chat or towards me and Andrew, whatever. But if here's the deal. I would feel differently if Arkansas had beaten an SEC team already, or if I like beat Notre Dame or something going into this game. But I'm in this season to me is just wait and see mode of, okay, show me something. I'll believe that you're good, and I can consider, hey, there's a possibility you win this game. But as far as me just having this upholding confidence, like, oh, Arkansas is going to win against Ole Miss, I'm not going to believe it until I see it. And now, if you go in and beat Ole Miss, heck yeah, I'm going to say, oh, Memphis, easy win. Hey, this team can beat Notre Dame. It's going to change everything. But until I actually see it, I'm not going to believe it. And so we'll find out after this weekend.
Yeah, I think that there's like this weird obsession with like, Hog fans always want their respect, which I understand. We all want our respect for our teams and for our players or whatever. I don't understand what's wrong with like letting them accomplish something before we give them that credit. Because again, you say we're not giving them enough credit. We did a post-game show for the Alabama A&M game. We said, hey, awesome stuff. Offense looked great. Cool. We did a post-game show for the Arkansas State game, and we were like, hey, this was an awesome performance. Man, no complaints from us, man. This is really good stuff. Credit to the Hogs, man. Awesome opportunity going into this Ole Miss game. You think if they beat Ole Miss, we're not going to give them credit then? Like, we gladly hand out credit as credit is earned. We are not going to give you credit for beating Ole Miss before you do it. We're not going to give Taylen Green credit for being the best quarterback in the SEC until he goes out and proves it. Now, you may say, oh, well, you're supposed to be predicting these things as they go. We made our predictions for the season. You know, John had his prediction. I had my prediction. We'll see how it plays out. Like we're very much, one of us is going to be wrong. Maybe both of us are going to be wrong. Like, we will gladly adjust as it goes. But like, why do we have to give them credit for beating Ole Miss now when they haven't beaten Ole Miss? If they go out and beat Ole Miss, we will gladly hop on the postgame show and say, man, great win. And then Monday we'll talk about it. Like, it's okay to just let things happen before we give credit. Like, credit, everyone always says credit where credit is due. Where is the credit due?
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm like, there's never been anything. I've never thought that we were unfair about anything when it comes to during the season, preseason, postseason, anything like that. But, you know, you don't know until you know. And we're going to know a lot. We're going to know a lot about this team this weekend. And I promise you, for me and Andrew and Curtis or Dudley or whoever, if Arkansas wins, not one of us are going to come on to any of our content and be like, yeah, that was a win and all, but this team still sucks. I don't believe in them. It's like, no, it's going to be a completely different feeling. But then if they follow up the Ole Miss game with a ugly, nasty loss to Memphis in the Liberty Bowl, then it's going to revert back to be like, okay, well, maybe Ole Miss isn't that good and Arkansas is not that good. Like, it's just, things change. That's why you got to have the season. That's why you play the games. You got to see how it goes.
I would also clarify too that we are in no way discrediting Arkansas's chances this weekend. Like, we're not going into this Ole Miss game being like, no chance for the Hogs. Like, I think we all agree it's going to be a pretty close game, not a ton of separation, probably going to come down to one possession. Like, I guess I just don't get that narrative of like, we're not giving enough credit.
Yeah, I don't see it that way. I will say, though, that if you are a Razorback fan and you're looking to feel good about this game, go to Bet Saracen because they got their specials out, which we'll go through tomorrow, a few of them, and look at some prop plays. But also, Andrew, Arkansas is now at a 7.5-point underdog in this one, according to Bet Saracen. Yesterday got as low as 6.5 on Saracen. It's moved a little bit back to 7.5, but I believe they opened up as 10.5-point favorites or underdogs. Arkansas did on Saracen, or at least 9.5 or 10.5, something.
It was either 9.5 or 10. I feel like it was like right at that double-digit range, and then quickly got down to 8.5. That's interesting that it's just moving that quickly and drastically.
Yeah. So we'll have some of those specials and talk more about it tomorrow, but be on the lookout for that.
Also, I just want to laugh because this guy got mad that I said one possession. He said, we're going to win by 3 scores. It's like, one possession, it's now a knock to say that Arkansas might win by 1 possession on the road at Ole Miss as an 8-point underdog.
Hey, listen, Crypto Hog, I love the confidence, and I hope you're right. And hey, listen, I going in there with that mentality, I like it. Because I'm going to be there in Oxford doing some stuff and covering the game and everything. I don't know what to expect out of it, but it's going to be fun leading up to the game because I think all the Ole Miss fans are going to be very confident. But man, I wish I could talk to some of those Ole Miss fans a little bit after the game if Arkansas won. I think it'd be a different demeanor. See if they'll even stay in the game. They may go back out to the tailgate. If that's the case. So, but let's go ahead and get into our heavy hitters here on Inside Arkansas Live, presented by our friends over at HD Roofing and Construction. Listen, we know storms can hit unexpectedly. So be sure to contact HD Roofing for your peace of mind with a free inspection. Because when you choose HD Roofing, you can rely on that professionalism, top quality materials, and expert installation for all of your roofing needs. You're not going to get anybody better to do it than HD Roofing. So call them today at 501-428-0429. That's 501-428-0429. You can also check out their website at hdarkansas.com. Scan that QR code right there. Get your roof all inspected for free with HD Roofing and Construction. All right, so for our heavy hitters, tell you what, Andrew, I'll let you go first because there may be some that I overlap with yours, but I want you to go ahead and give yours, and I'll give mine.
So mine, this is a scraping the bottom of the barrel type of day in terms of heavy hitters for me. But I want to give a shout out to two members of the 2016 Cubs World Series team, and I am not a Cubs fan by any means, but these are two guys that are just awesome. One, Kyle Schwarber hit his 50th home run last night. Kyle Schwarber hitting 50 home runs. He's got 334 for his career. And this whole thing about Aaron Judge or Cal Raleigh, who's winning MVP, freaking Schwarber's got 50 home runs. Kyle Schwarber's awesome. He's fun to root for because he's just like, he's the term country strong, I feel like applies to him. Like you look at him and you're like, that is not a high level athlete, but he's a high level athlete. And I love watching him swing the bat. And Anthony Rizzo retired today, officially announced his retirement. Didn't have as great of a career as he probably was supposed to have, but wanted to wish him well. But there's not much going on in my world today, John. I don't have a ton of heavy hitters. Not much is hitting heavily.
Well, I'm glad because I was not going to use any of those, so I'm glad you didn't steal mine. But I do want to give, how about a heavy hitter over to our guy Crypto Hog? He just want to apologize with a super chat. Said sorry, Andrew.
I wasn't upset with you, Crypto Hog. I'm just acknowledging like how funny it is that like no matter what we say, people are upset.
Yeah. Well, and again, I'll say that in the chats, especially, sometimes it's hard to know tones and narratives. Sometimes people may just be messing. That's like, I wish there needs to be what they call the sarcasm font. Like people just needs to put like the /S if they're being sarcastic. So that way we don't be like, you really think this, and then go on a whole segment about this. How could people say this? And at the end, like, oh, I was just joking. I didn't actually think that. It's like, maybe have something like that happen. But
I think sometimes we bring stuff up too, and people think we're like mad about it. And it's like, we're just kind of like more just like laughing at just the conversation. Like we're kind of in it together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Well, I know you talked about this, Andrew, but I wanted to bring it up too. My heavy hitter for this heavy hitter segment is the Arkansas Razorback baseball schedule. We talked about it yesterday. That it was going to get released. It's funny that we got it before the basketball schedule. Andrew, I would have never dreamed in a million years that Arkansas would have this schedule. Forget the non-conference. Don't even care about that. Like whatever. I would have never dreamed in a million years that Arkansas baseball would have a schedule where LSU, Texas, Tennessee, Texas A&M, and Vanderbilt were not on the schedule. Like this isn't a parody, unless maybe they pull what they did. What was it a couple years ago where they added Tennessee after releasing it because they messed up or whatever. I was floored. Your SEC series in the regular season, folks. Mississippi State at home, at South Carolina, Florida at home, at Auburn, at Alabama, Georgia at home, at Missouri, Ole Miss at home, Oklahoma at home, at Kentucky. I am not saying it's easy, but this is the easiest SEC baseball schedule that anyone could possibly have. And for some reason, Arkansas got it, and I cannot believe it.
Listen, I'm cool with it. I've seen a lot of people doing the thing where they're like bummed out about it, where they're like, oh man, I love having like these big marquee home games. You know, last year they had Tennessee at home, Texas at home. You had A&M at home. You had on the road at LSU. Like, you had a daunting schedule, and people like that. They like having these big marquee matchups. I'm cool with just having a little bit of an easier. Again, like you said, it's not going to be easy. Like playing Georgia at home, there are a lot easier things you can do in baseball. Playing Ole Miss at home, Oklahoma, by the way, has a. You want to look at a schedule, John? Look at Oklahoma's schedule. They got screwed a little bit. Playing Florida at home. These are going to be fun series. Dude, I do not care at all that they do not have Tennessee on there. I do not care at all that they don't have LSU on there. Here's what I love about this, John. When Arkansas, because again, we all agree LSU and Tennessee and maybe even Texas, those are teams that you likely are going to have to beat to win the national title. Last year, of course, Arkansas would have had to beat Tennessee or beat LSU. They did beat Tennessee. Those are likely teams you're going to play in the postseason when it's all said and done. I like the idea that the first time Tennessee might face Cole Gibler will be in Omaha. The first time they see Gabe Gackle will be in Omaha. The first time they pitch to this lineup will be in Omaha. I love that idea. I love the idea of Arkansas going like 26-4 in SEC play, and they kind of have this mystique about them where it's like, oh man, we can't beat these guys. They're undefeated. They can't do all that. I'm all for it. Number 1 overall seed, undefeated. I'm for it all. I want this to be the best regular season DVH has ever had, and that's saying something.
Yeah, I'm with you, because it's not like Arkansas's always had an easy schedule, and then we look back when they don't win the title and say, oh, well, they just had too easy of a schedule. They weren't ready for it. Like last year's schedule was ridiculous. It was great though for like home games. You think about, getting Tennessee at home, think about getting Texas at home and sweeping them and how much fun that was. Of course, going on the road to LSU. There were some really intense games and some intense series, but it's not at a point to where I want to have a difficult schedule if you're Arkansas baseball, because even when you have difficult schedules, you do just fine. So giving this easy schedule and considering how you never, ever, ever in any major sport get a beneficial SEC schedule ever, I'm okay with 1 year, one single season, having a schedule that is about as easy as you could ask when it comes to SEC play. Because the SEC is the best conference in the land. It's not even close. We know that Arkansas is going to be a good baseball team every year as long as Dave Van Horn's the coach. But we talk about how difficult it is to win 20-plus SEC games. This year, Ellis, if they don't win 20 games in the SEC, I'm pissed. Just because it's like, unless something crazy happens, which hopefully it doesn't, but it's just like, this is set up nicely for you to be a national seed. And that, folks, that right there is extremely important, because you beat the allegations last season of, we don't want to host because we'll lose. That didn't happen last year. You swept the regionals and super regionals at home. So that's out of there. But this right here, sign me up. Give me, 30 wins, 30-0. Be the first team ever. Don't care. No excuses. Because I saw somebody go Hogs, and I'm not coming down. He's like, the SEC's trying to give Dave another chance before he retires. LOL. Here's the thing. Dave was doing this with difficult schedules. Like it's not the SEC throwing him a bone. I think it's just, hey, for once, Arkansas, it just lined up for you. You got an easier schedule this year.
I love it. And I mean, listen, like I said, the home series, is again, you're never getting an easy schedule. I think if for fans that think like, hey, it's not going to be fun at Baum Walker because it's too easy, I push back against that. Like Mississippi State, y'all aren't going to have fun watching that. Brian O'Connor, his first year at Mississippi State, they've got the loaded transfer class. That's going to be a fun SEC opener. Florida, y'all aren't going to have fun making fun of Sully at home. Wes Johnson comes to town. Like, that's going to be a fun series. Even Oklahoma at the end of the year, like, I don't know how good or bad Oklahoma's going to be, but it's like in May, it'll be getting around that time before, like, the crowds will be good. Like, there's going to be a lot of fun. Ole Miss, like, that's going to be a fun home series. And then the road series, you don't have any daunting atmospheres. South Carolina is the closest to it because they have a really nice park, but they've got Joe Biden at head coach. You go at Kentucky, you go at Missouri. Like, these are, and I will say Alabama and Auburn, sneaky, underrated, tough. Like, Arkansas doesn't typically play well there, but neither of those are like crazy atmospheres. If there's one thing I don't love about it, it's that Arkansas is maybe not going to get that like NCAA tournament prep, but I think that's for Baum Walker. Like, they're going to get it at Baum Walker. Those series are going to feel like playoff games. Those series are going to feel like super regionals. I'm all for it, man. I hope Arkansas dominates the regular season, and I hope that they are that team that everyone's like, oh man, they're undefeated, but are they legit? Are they, can they really do it? I'm all for that.
Yeah, me too. And last thing I'll say about it as well is, I feel like, again, this team's going to be good. It's going to be great. All of that. I still feel like, at least right now on paper, last year's team was better going into the season for sure. And I just wonder, man, what if you had this schedule with last year's team? Like, they may have won every SEC series. Like, they may have done that. Just saying. Again,
I mean, last year's team, it's not an exaggeration, and I don't even think it's a hot take to say this. Last year's team was the best team Arkansas has ever had.
Yeah, I agree.
Just best, well-rounded. I think this team has some, like, not question marks, but they have some things to figure out on the pitching side. They just need some guys to step up. Hunter Dietz, huh? Can I get some Hunter Dietz? No, some Cole Gibbler, but I do like the additions, and I like the arms they have. I'm excited to watch these arms kind of figure it out. But I also love that idea of, like, Arkansas's got plenty of opportunities to develop some of these arms. You know what? A sneaky part of the schedule that I love, John? They're going to Arlington to start the year. They're playing a midweek game on Monday night in Globe Life Field. They're going to play their first midweek game of the year on Monday night after they play in Arlington against those three Big 12 teams. That'll be cool.
Got to get prepared for those, Monday regionals and supers games.
Exactly. It's like a Game 7 mentality with, a true freshman on the bump or whatever.
Exactly. All right, we'll shift back to football real quick because I did mean to bring this up, but I want y'all's thoughts on this. What do you think of the stripe out? Arkansas announces it for the Notre Dame game, doing a stripe out. It's not going to have any indication on the game, but I'm just curious of, stuff that the game day atmosphere and all those things. Are you the stripe out type? Do you like the stripe outs for football?
I'm okay with it. Like I'm not. Obviously, you can't do it every game. If you play NCAA 25 or 26, there's a stripe out every other game. I'm cool with it. I really don't have any problem. This should be your biggest crowd of the year, your most electric crowd. I just hope it looks good. I hope the weather doesn't interfere.
Yeah, I'm hoping so too. Does it look like it could? Well, I guess I can't tell for Notre Dame. It's still ways out. Which, by the way, it's going to be a hot one in Oxford this weekend. It feels like summertime once again. We got teased a little bit with great weather. Now it's going to be hot. But either way, they're doing the stripe out though, folks. So if you're going to the game, look at your section there, and make sure you're wearing the white shirt, the red shirt, because if you don't, they're going to kick you out of the stadium. They're not going to do that, but still, it is going to be. It's cool. I like these types of things, and I may share this at some point. Maybe I'll do it separately or maybe on a pregame show. But Ellis, I have a phenomenal idea that hit me when I wasn't sleeping last night, when I was delirious, of an awesome entry for Arkansas running out of the tunnel for a night game. Well, I'll save that. But either way, 11 a.m. kick, Notre Dame, stripe out, hooray. As long as you just don't do a red out, we're okay. Red outs are disgusting.
Let me ask you, what did you think of the War Pigs remix that they played before the game the other day? I liked it, if I'm being honest with you. It felt pretty good.
I like it, Oz, and that is a huge part of the thing I'm thinking of what I want to have happen. Because I've always said, Arkansas, you want something. Because there's a little bit of envy, for me at least, of looking over at South Carolina and seeing Sandstorm or Virginia Tech and Enter Sandman or Penn State, Zombie Nation, or Alabama, Dixieland Delight, which everyone's playing now, but it still means a little bit more at Alabama. Tennessee, I know it's their fight song, but Rocky Top is West Virginia with Country Roads. There's all these other schools. You're like, man, that's so cool. I want that. I think I kept going back and forth on what song it could be. I think War Pigs has to be the one, and especially with the passing of Ozzy Osbourne, this is the year to really take it as your own, to really embrace it and take it as your own.
I'm with you, and I got to be honest, it makes sense from a standpoint, Arkansas War Pigs, but Take Me Home, West Virginia, Country Roads and all that. That song it makes sense for West Virginia, but in and of itself, it's not a good hype song. You know what I mean? War Pigs does work as a hype song. That whole generals gathered in that it's a building up. It really is hype. Even though it was Alabama A&M, I got to say, I was hyped week one. I was kind of ready to roll. Mm-hmm. I mean, it sucks that it's going to be freaking 10:45 a.m. whenever they're coming out against Notre Dame, but I'm gonna be fired up for that one.
Yeah, I actually meant to play it today, but I like the hype video recap that Razorback Football put out yesterday.
Oh, that was fire. That was
a good one. I thought about playing it, but it is pretty long. But either way, that was really good. If you haven't had a chance to see it, so Arkansas football's off to a good start. The Arkansas football socials in the video department, they're off to a good start too. My only request: don't have the narrating game hype videos anymore from unless it's some big celebrity or somebody that's big, just don't do it anymore. I think LSU set the standard when they started having The Rock and stuff doing it, but it just doesn't hit as hard when you have your junior redshirt junior linebacker that everyone knows and likes, but just it's not the same, So let's stop with that.
You don't like listening to, I don't know, Steven Dix go, the time is now for us to compete on Saturday. The Hogs are in the house. That doesn't fire you up, John? What the hell, man?
Doesn't do it for me.
How about, speaking of, because I agree, that video recap was awesome. And if you missed what we're talking about, the Razorback Football account tweeted it out, and maybe on Instagram, I don't know. I saw it on Twitter, but
yeah,
Razorback Football's game recap, it's a 4-minute video. Fire. How about Sam Pittman saying there's University of Arkansas and there ain't nobody else in the state. There's no other university in the state. I loved it. I loved it.
I did too. That's the stuff I want to see. I want to see from Sam, not just being like, oh, let's just go out and win. It's like, no, make it personal. Make it personal about this game.
I feel a little bit vindicated, John, because a few weeks ago, someone asked us, they were like, you know what I'd love to see from Sam Pittman is like, I'd love to see some fire out of him. Like, I'm tired of seeing him just walking around. And I'm like, do y'all think he just throughout the week with this football team, he never gets energized? Like, I'm not saying he's the most fiery competitor of all time, but it's like pregame, he gets those guys hyped. I've seen him at practice chewing people out. I've seen him yelling at people. I understand that it's not like this, he may not give that appeal of like a Bobby Knight type of guy, but like he gets fired up. Like he definitely knows the assignment when he needs to. And I'm sure he's had some hits and misses, but like, I love seeing like a little bit of that behind the scenes. I love seeing him after they played Alabama A&M in the post game. He's like, hey, next week, these boys have been waiting for 90 years to play us. And we, as an administration, as a team, we said, let's do it. Let's do it. I love that.
Well, and my thing is, again, it goes back. If you're winning, I don't care. And if you're losing, you know what the one thing is that's keeping them from losing? It's not Sam Pittman not being fired up enough. It's just like, oh, I want to see him yelling at people. It's only a problem when it's an issue when you're losing. Because, I always look at, like, there's a lot of coaches that get fired up. Like Nick Saban had some of the most epic rants and epic like blow-ups. And he's also awesome. In that speech he had before Georgia, like at halftime, do you remember that one? Where he's talking about Kirby's got a smile on his face. Like that was, oh my goodness. I'm like, how do you not run through a wall? But you know what? Pete Carroll was a really successful coach. And you know what he didn't do? You never saw him like just screaming and yelling and hooting and hollering. Well, why? How did that happen? Well, it's because coaches are different. And if you win, who cares? Who cares as long as you're winning? So that's my thing. Do you remember this? Someone brought this up since we're talking about hype videos. Do you remember when I was this close to being able to, that I got asked to narrate a baseball hype video before the Razorback baseball? That was 2 years ago. 2 years ago. I got reached out to by the, I don't know what you call them, the video audio department or whatever. And they were doing some narrations. They're like, dude, would you be interested in doing it? I was like, oh, are you kidding me? Yes, please. And then it got nixed. I was really disappointed. I was like, man, that would have been cool.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to call us back for that one anytime soon.
So. You never know. You never know. They may need a new voice. But I was like, I remember thinking, I was like, okay, so would I do it like with this epic, like, really strong trailer voice, or do I just do it in my normal voice? Do I do it soft? It's just, I didn't know what to do. But
you know what kind of makes me mad, John? Now that I'm really thinking about it, as much as the Razorback accounts will do stuff where they either will put headlines up there or they'll use clips to fire people up and stuff. Every single day on the Bombastic during baseball season, I'm giving you material to work with of like, hey, big game in Baum Walker tonight. Razorbacks have a chance to prove they're like, use one of those clips. Like there's unlimited clips that would make y'all's videos better, I feel like, but that's just me.
Yeah. Listen, we could help out with a lot of things. We can help out with a lot of things in that department. We'll be here if you ever want. If you just want to ask, we'll be around. So I
want to make a quick announcement.
What's up?
SCT, you're like 2 stupid comments away from getting timeouted. Like you're just really, you're really itching to get thrown in timeout, dude. Just shut up. just been yapping the entire show. Just been angry the entire show. We love you, SCT, but you're really close to getting thrown in timeout. Yeah. Don't make me get the belt.
That's what I feel like. Yeah, a parent getting down on him. So yeah, especially at the end of the show. Especially at the end of the show. Come on, man. Come on. Speaking of, let's get to our final segment here on the show, presented by our friends over at Freedom Boat Club of Arkansas. We'll get to your chats and everything, but hey, just because the summertime is winding down does not mean that the boat season ever ends, because this fall, this winter, and then upcoming in spring, you can still have access to the boats at Freedom Boat Club when you're a member of Freedom Boat Club. You can have all the access without the commitment. That means you don't have to worry about the cleaning of the boats and the getting the boat from your house down to the water, or have to worry about having a slip or anything. You show up to one of their locations as a member, you get on the boat, you have a great time, you come back, and that's it. I mean, it could not be easier. They make it easy. They make it awesome. And they have some great locations here in Arkansas, whether it's Greers Ferry Lake, Lake Hamilton, as well as a day on the river in Little Rock, with locations to come. In fact, they're going to be having some openings here in the next year, getting ready for spring. So take advantage of the deal right now, folks. Take advantage of it. I promise you won't be disappointed. They're great people over there. They're going to work with you every step of the way. So give them a text. Just text the words Inside Arkansas to 501-270-6477. That's 501-270-6477 to get 50% off your initiation fee. Check out their website at freedomboatclubar.com. That's freedomboatclubar.com. All right, so we'll get to more of your chats, folks, and a few other things before we close up shop here. Appreciate everybody tuning in and listening in. Having some fun talking about this. Let's see. Shantar, I guess he was talking about, he's like, Toledo threw for 270 yards on Kentucky. Kentucky barely beat Toledo. Ole Miss barely beat Kentucky, which I think we talk about. What's the phrase you say it is, Andrew, when the like
transit property?
Yes, that. Listen, I get it because you can only know what you know, but that doesn't always mean that's what's going to happen. It just doesn't. Because how many times, like, be honest, Shantar, how many times have you gone into a game being like, hey, all right, this team hasn't done this very well, so I like our matchup. And then that exact team does that very well against Arkansas. Like, they end up throwing for 800 yards. Like, it happens pretty often.
Yeah, we always make the assumption that every team is going to play exactly to their capability and their standard, and the matchups don't matter. And, you're like, if a team is a B+, they're going to be a B+ every Saturday. And if that team's a C-, they're going to be a C- every Saturday. It is fascinating. I will say, I bet on that Toledo Kentucky game. I had Toledo, and it was shaping up to be the worst beat of all time because Toledo was covering the entire game, and then Kentucky scored a touchdown with like 2 minutes left to make it outside of the spread. The spread was like 9 or 10. They scored with like 2 minutes left, their first offensive touchdown of the game, and I was like, oh my God. And then Toledo put together a little garbage time drive. So I happen to have watched that game and know that about 140 of those yards came in a little bit of a garbage time situation. But I hear you.
Yeah. Hunter Ratio says the Locked On Ole Miss host isn't happy with the attention folks are giving the Hogs. Thinks Ole Miss is significantly better, and Arkansas would need help from Ole Miss to win this game. We will see. You're referring to Stephen Willis, and if you like that, just know that tomorrow morning on Locked On Razorbacks, we're doing a little crossover with him. So yeah, we'll have some fun with that. He's a good dude, and he's been around for a while, and we're gonna have some fun with it. Talk a little trash because this is right now. I can talk trash. I can have some fun with it. So, but I mean, listen, if I'm an Ole Miss guy right now too, I'm probably saying the same thing because again, they circled this game saying it was going to be a win no matter what. And take your Razorback glasses off. You probably would pick Ole Miss in this game, and you probably see Ole Miss as a better team. And if anybody's saying Arkansas is going to win this game, you probably look at them weird. So I get it.
Yeah, I would disagree with the notion that Ole Miss is significantly better than Arkansas, and that's coming from someone, spoiler, who picked Ole Miss to beat Arkansas preseason. I'm going to pick them to beat Arkansas on Saturday. But that furthers the point of like we all look at other teams and we just kind of view it through our lens of like, think about if Arkansas had a game against somebody that they beat 63-31 last year. You think we would go into that game if Arkansas was playing them at home and we'd be like, yeah, no, they're going to lose this game. Like, there's no way. Like, for instance, Auburn. Do any of you guys think Arkansas has any chance of losing to Auburn? No, because you beat them in Auburn last year, and you're like, oh, yeah, we're better. We beat them on the road. Of course we'll beat them at home. And I'm not saying you're wrong to feel that way, but that's how a lot of people view it of like, we whipped these people's ass last year and we're playing them at home. Why would we not whip their ass again? And, things play out.
And also to your point, I still think Arkansas will beat Mississippi State, but I guarantee you none of you are feeling as confident as what you did after they beat Arizona State. So things change. Let's see. Austin from work says, speaking of hops, where's Dudley? Dudley's going to join us tomorrow at 1:00 once again to give us a little recruiting update and everything. And if you haven't had a chance, check out his Inside Arkansas Recruiting podcast. Came out this morning with Brandon Marcello talking about transfer portal, NIL, maybe possible unions forming, really interesting stuff. So be sure to check it out and download it wherever podcasts are found. So
a funny promo for the recruiting podcast. I saw a comment this morning under his video and it said, man, I really like this podcast. I'm actually surprised by how much I like this podcast. I don't know why they said that, but there's somebody who is at least very pleasantly surprised by how much they enjoyed Dudley's recruiting podcast.
Hey, listen, folks, we're Inside Arkansas. Do you think that we would bring on anybody and just have anybody do a podcast that wasn't going to be enjoyable? Come on. Listen, we were nothing but the best over here at Inside Arkansas. Let's see. Hunter Ratio says, Andrew, we're going to win every baseball series next season.
Now, that is true. That is a fact.
Yeah. I cannot wait to hear Andrew's on the bombastic predictions as soon as before the season starts, because I cannot wait, because you're either going to do it one or two ways. You're going to go all in, or you're going to be like, no, I can't do it. I got to say they're going to win 2 or 3 series. I got to do it.
Does anyone off the top of their head know how many SEC games Arkansas won last year? I know I picked them to go. I think I picked them to go 21-9.
I think they went 22-8, didn't they?
Shit, did they?
I think they did. I thought, man, I could be wrong about that. I mean, we do have.
We were talking to Hutch preseason, and Hutch, by the way, Hutch graduated from the U of A, but he really is adamant about the whole like, I'm not a Hog fan. I don't want to be confused for cheering for Arkansas. But he was like adamant of like, he had him going like 18-12 or 17-13. Like he was like, I'm kind of between those two things. I'm like, dude, I'm debating between 21 or 22 wins. And I guess they ended up winning 20 is what
20.
What people are saying. So I feel good about that. But no, yeah, I'm when the predictions roll around, I won't go like 25-5 because then everyone's going to dunk on me as soon as they win one or lose one. It'll be at least 22 wins though. I'll just tell you that right now. At least 22 wins.
And if anybody says it'll be less than 20 wins, anybody out there doing predictions, you're an idiot. Like if anybody says like predicting legit, unless again, hopefully it doesn't happen, like Arkansas loses their ace to the season or, Ryder Helfrich or gets like, unless barring that, if anybody goes into that schedule and says, I don't see Arkansas winning 20 games in this one, you're just out of your mind.
I mean, let me just ask y'all this publicly, just let you get something to think about. Do you feel like Arkansas, like how many home series, and you know what they are, how many home series would you pick Arkansas to lose? Probably not many, maybe one. They lost one last year. Let's even be generous and say they lose one home series. So right there, you're, what is that? 8-4 or something like that. If you win 4 SEC series or something like that, I'm losing my train of thought here just a little bit. But on the road, I don't think you can pick Arkansas to sweep a ton of teams on the road. Missouri, that's an auto sweep no matter what. Even if you're like trying to be conservative and you're like, they're not going to sweep a ton of teams on the road, it's still, those wins add up, man. You add 4 home series, that's 2. Then you have 1, 9. I mean, it adds up pretty quickly. They're going to sweep Missouri, no doubt about it. I think 20 is like the over/under. Yeah.
Well, I was looking at the schedule last year. I forgot. I mean, I know, but I did also forget. Dude, they lost 4 games at home all year. 4 at Bob Walker.
And 2 of them were in the same weekend.
2 of them to A&M. Yep. Can you name the other 2 off the top of your head?
So let's see. They didn't lose a game to Texas. They lost one to Tennessee.
Nope. Or no, they lost to Tennessee. They swept Texas.
That one.
They swept Texas.
Yeah, they swept Texas. They lose game 1 to Tennessee. And then I'm trying to think.
It's a non-SEC game. I'll give you that hint.
Oh, it was a midweek game?
Yep.
Who beat them in a midweek game?
Missouri State. Remember that insane game in extra innings?
Oh, that's right. That we were not there for that. We were in San Francisco for that. That's right.
Yeah. It's like
that's crazy.
Still 4 losses. That's wild stuff. Wild behavior. Okay. A few more chats here, folks. Again, appreciate everybody tuning in. Let's see. We got Chris says the opening of 1-5 is really sad. Yeah. I've tried to tell people, like, again, I'm not trying to make it an infomercial, but like 1-5 on Hogs Plus is really good about Ryan Mallett. I could not believe the opening of that. I'm not going to spoil it too much, but it opens with the police video of on the beach and the passing. Like it's like I'm getting emotional just thinking about it. I'm like, it's brutal. And apparently the family, that's kind of what they wanted. They wanted to be like, hey, we don't want to run from anything. We wanted to be a part of it. So yes, it's brutal. So be ready for that. Finch says, hey, John/Andrew, will y'all be at the Memphis exhibition? If so, we need to get a spot for all of us insiders to meet up at. I mean, I know I can't say. I'm not even going to say what Curtis is for sure going to be doing or not, because I assume he will be. I'm not going to speak for him. But I would like to go for sure if I can make it happen. And then I know if Curtis is going and I'm going, I'm sure if Andrew can make it happen, he'll go too. It's just a matter of
date on that.
October something.
25th or something like that.
Yeah. It's hard. Like, it's crazy because there's still no stupid schedule for basketball, like officially.
Yeah, I know that is kind of insane.
Yeah. It's
it's Monday the 27th.
7th. Yeah. So
I'm inclined to say that I might go.
Yeah. I think we could do that. I think it'd be fun to, if we can, again, make it logistically work, like maybe leave Monday. I don't know, figure it out.
Sunday
but
night we leave.
Like do the show live from Memphis on Monday, at noon. Yeah, and then, of course, have Pot at the Palace post game after that. Because I do know that Curtis will 100% be doing that. And he will refuse. He will be dead in the ground before he does a post game for a game this year. But Maybe we'll figure that out. We'll make it happen. We'll let everybody know what we end up doing.
Curtis was telling me something about how his plans for the Michigan State game. So that's where he's at. He's already on task. Man.
I've already booked Airbnbs at all the 8 locations for the NCAA tournament. It's like, yeah, it's crazy. Let's see. Also, Chris just says, I'm going to start watching baseball this year, so I'll be tuning in, Andrew.
Well, I appreciate that, Chris. By the way, I feel like there's a lot of people who are in this boat of, whether it's the last 5 years, maybe last year, that are like kind of new to watching Arkansas baseball and really cheering it on. Because I know that, obviously everybody's watched baseball before, but there's a lot of people who like obviously view, whether it's basketball, football, or like have their number one. I actually appreciate the people who are honest and are just like, I haven't been a huge baseball guy before, but I'll get into it now. And I've noticed that they seem to be some of the better fans than some of the people who claim to be like these diehard baseball fans who watch all the time. So I appreciate you saying that, Chris. And I appreciate a lot of people who've been open about just like, hey, I'm like, late to the party, but I'm still here and I'm ready to have a good time. Appreciate that.
So what you're saying is there's no gatekeeping of fans for the sports.
No, and I think that's absolutely insane when people do that, where they're like, do not watch the team that I love. Do not
can't have an opinion.
Acknowledge the program that I love.
Anybody that does that needs to be publicly shamed, like it was last year with softball especially. It's like, just because you weren't there for every game for 5 years does not mean you can't have an opinion because you're a Razorback fan. And I'm a Razorback fan. I can't go to all the softball games. I can't go to all the track meets and all that stuff. But I want them to win, and I want them to succeed. And if it's a big event, especially, I want them to win, and I'm going to watch it. But if I get upset and bummed if they don't, I don't want somebody to be like, well, you can't be upset because you weren't here like a year ago. It's like, no, just let me be a fan. Shut up. Cameron, did you highlight this scene? John in the Coach Cal show was lit. Oh, you're talking about the thing on Vice, Razor's Edge?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I thought he was
in that.
Yeah, my first thought, I thought he was talking about like the show at Sassy's, and I'm like, I was never at that. That's like, yes, but yes, it was cool. I kept trying to talk to him to see if there was a second season going to be happening, but apparently, I haven't heard anything. But I don't think it's going to. I think there was kind of some weirdness with Hogs Plus and then them doing their thing, and because let's be honest, this is exactly what happened. Their people at Vice reached out to Cal, and Cal didn't get permission from anybody. Said, "Yep, come on in. Let's do it." Like he didn't even because it's Coach Calipari. He's not going to get permission from anybody. But yeah, I wish they would do a season 2 because last year it was good. Don't get me wrong, but man, it was tough just because they were going through those tough spots. There was a lot of stuff they couldn't put in there or didn't want to put in there because it was supposed to be a promotion of the program, not something that's negative. And I remember they had a whole thing about Jonas Adu going back to Tennessee, like a whole episode. Didn't even air it. Didn't even air a segment of it because it was so bad. So it was like, all right, well, it would be cool though. It would be cool if they come back. And Finch, I thought it was awesome that we get to hang with a celebrity every day at noon. Talking about Cameron? Yeah, I mean, I can understand that. It is pretty cool. It is pretty cool to hang out with him. Let's see. There was one more thing, if anything, that I missed out on.
Yeah, you missed a very important one right here. Stroke the Goat says, Andrew, I seen Ryder Helfrich in Target. He was looking yoked. This is great news, and this is good to hear. Ryder did homer the other day. Ryder had a very, very good day at the yard. He had a home run on a ball that he didn't even really square up against Parker Coyle, just kind of muscled it out of the park. And then they had a freshman, Christian Turner, who there was 2 outs, runner on first base. He tries to steal, and Ryder throws him out. And there was some controversy. You have fielders. They have pitchers in the field being umpires. There was some controversy about whether or not he was safe. Did he slide off the bag? Was there a tag? So DVH says, you know what? Let's just send him back to first and we'll redo the inning. And then, of course, he tries to steal again and gets thrown out again. And this time it was not any debate about this one. And so I appreciated that. Ryder Helfrich threw the same guy out twice and hit a home run. It's a good day at the office for your catcher.
Yeah. And I just want to say, I'm going to give, if any of you are happy with Ryder Helfrich being here, the reason he's here, you need to give a lot of credit to the Bush Hoggers tailgate because our tailgate, he was on his official visit and he came by and we made sure that we gave him the welcome that Razorback fans should. And that's the only reason why. Couldn't get Walker Martin at the same time. We can only do one, but we were able to get at least Ryder Helfrich here. But no, I'm excited about him, man. Like he was really good last year. I mean, everybody was good on the team last year. God, I'm hopeful for this baseball season, but I just keep thinking back. I was like, golly, that team was so freaking good last year, dude. It was so good. They were so much fun. Pitching, defense, offense, all of it. So much fun.
I tell you, they're going to be nasty, man. They're going
I
to be
know.
nasty again. I'm more confident, weirdly enough, I'm more confident in the lineup than I am the pitching staff, which is weird because this time last year we were like, are they ever going to have a lineup that's actually good? Like, what's going on? I'm going into this year. I'm like, I'm very confident their lineup's going to be, I don't know if it's going to be the same statistically, better or what, if they're going to have 9 guys hit 300. I think they have a very, very high floor offensively. I think their pitching ceiling is still pretty high, but I'm very confident that the lineup is going to rake and we're going to have a lot of fun watching them.
Yep. Well, and if those of you who want to hear more about baseball, you just need to tune into Bombastic because Andrew's going to be bringing it to you each and every time. It slows down a little time this year, but hey, we got fall games happening. What was it? October 10th, I think is the.
Yeah, October 10th and 11th. They're playing, I guess, the day of the Tennessee game. They're playing Friday night, they're playing Little Rock. And then that Saturday, the afternoon, they're playing DBU.
Yeah.
Not Defensive Back University, Dallas Baptist. 2 NCAA tournament teams from last year.
Yeah, the DBU, wasn't that's where Wes Johnson was for a bit, right? Okay.
Yeah, that's a good program right there. That's a good program.
Yeah, they kind of became like the new Cal State Fullerton a little bit, where it was like, Cal State Fullerton just went by the wayside and nobody hears about them. But Dallas Baptist, you're always like, oh, crap, we got to play them. Like they're a good program. So,
by the way, Stetson, who Arkansas is going to play, I think that's their final non-conference series before conference play. That's one that nobody's talking about because it's just kind of on the schedule. Stetson's a perennial NCAA tournament team. That's like a sneaky good non-conference series that I can tell you right now, John, Arkansas is going to take 2 of 3, and people are going to be like, they suck. They dropped the Sunday game to Stetson. We suck.
I just can't wait for all those moments. Those are my favorite. Those are my favorite ones. Because I remember how people felt after they lost to A&M and that doubleheader at home like last year. It's just awful. Just awful. So either way. Well, Andrew, any final thoughts before we roll out of here for the day?
My final thoughts are woo damn pig. I miss Curtis. That's all. That's my only other final thought. And it's Wesley Wednesday. Shout out to Wesley.
Wesley Wednesday. Yes. I actually
first one.
Have you ever been to Wes's in Fayetteville?
I have not. No.
I thought about it's a place I used to go to when I was at Fayetteville High School, and pretty sure it's still open. It was called Wes's Barbecue. It's right next to that Italian restaurant that's kind of in that shopping center, and I forgot which streets it's on. Anyway, it's next to Fayetteville High School and all that. But we used to go to get the Bulldog Special back when I was in high school. It was a burger and fries for $2.15. If you could imagine that, just imagine back then, what the type of burger and everything. But it was a hole in the wall place. I'm like, dude, Curtis, you need to just take your first picture of announcing. Just go take them to Wes's and put them in front of the sign or something. I don't know. There'll be plenty of things and opportunities. But yeah, Curtis is missed. Curtis will be back, folks. Don't worry. And again, if you keep asking or if you want to know, we don't know. It's up to Curtis. So when Curtis is back, that means that's when Curtis decided to come back. And if he never comes back again, just know that that was his decision. So that's the way it is. But we look forward to having him back. We look forward to all the things happening here at Inside Arkansas as we're continuing to grow. And my final thought real quick, folks, is that we are now official partners with Spotify, creative partners with Spotify. So for those of you who like listen to the audio version of the podcast, we implore you to subscribe to us here on Inside Arkansas Live, Pod at the Palace, Bombastic Podcast, Inside Arkansas Recruiting, Inside Arkansas Football, all of those things on Spotify because we are now official partners with them. So we look forward to having more to say about that. And we look forward to everything going on. Again, we'll have the EA Sports College Football 26 live stream tomorrow night at 8 p.m. right here. We'll have Inside Arkansas Live. I know we'll have, of course, pregame show on Saturday at 9 a.m. for Inside Arkansas Football, postgame show, all the great stuff. So subscribe, Inside Arkansas, right here as we continue to grow and continue to do big things. And I'll do it for us here today. For Andrew Ellis, as well as intern Cameron, I am John Neighbors. Same sports show, same sports channel tomorrow at noon. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. We'll see you then.